Every gardener has a moment when they dig into their soil and realize something important is missing. The texture feels flat, the water drains too slowly or too fast, the soil doesn't smell rich or alive. What's missing isn't fertilizer, amendments, or fancy soil conditioners. It's earthworms. When worms are active in your soil, everything changes. They aerate, fertilize, break down organic matter, and leave behind castings that feed plants better than anything you can buy in a bag. So when you find soil that looks tired or compacted, the quickest fix is not a tool or a chemical, it's giving worms what they need to multiply naturally. There's a simple 2-ingredient Earthworm Booster Blend that many old-school gardeners use to trigger a worm explosion in just a few weeks. This isn't magic and it isn't complicated. It works because it feeds the one thing that worms can't resist, a moist, microbe-rich food source that stays cool and breaks down quickly. When you combine these ingredients correctly and apply them the right way, your garden becomes a natural earthworm magnet. Worms don't multiply because of soil type alone. They multiply when there is something to eat every day. If the soil dries out, stays too hot, contains too much sand, or lacks rotting organic matter, worms simply won't move in. When they find a steady supply of soft, decomposing material, they breed rapidly. Every worm lays cocoons, and each cocoon can hatch several baby worms. When food is abundant and conditions stay moist, those cocoons appear more often. That's exactly what this 2-ingredient blend does. It creates a constant buffet that keeps worms active, breeding, and tunneling non-stop. You know, coffee grounds are actually one of the most powerful worm attractants out there, and there's a good reason for that. Used grounds hold moisture, they break down steadily, and they've got this fine texture that worms can easily ingest. Now, a lot of gardeners just toss them out, but in a worm-friendly garden, coffee grounds turn into a protein-rich supplement that worms will consume pretty quickly. So, to apply them properly, don't just dump them in thick layers. A heavy pile will crust over and actually repel water. Instead, go ahead and mix 1 part used coffee grounds with 2 parts finished compost or moist garden soil. This way, you dilute the grounds, prevent any clumping, and let microbes colonize them faster. And honestly, it's those microbes doing the breakdown process that worms are really after. Here's a practical example. Take, say, 3 cups of used coffee grounds, mix them into 6 cups of compost, and then scatter that mixture around the base of your plants or spread it across a raised bed. After that, just give it a light watering. Within a few days, you'll notice earthworms moving toward the blend because it stays damp and breaks down into those nutrient-rich fragments they can digest easily. Plain rolled oats, not flavored, not instant, not sugary, are one of the most potent worm reproduction triggers. Oatmeal softens every time it absorbs moisture and ferments as microbes decompose it. Worms don't actually eat oats directly. They eat the bacteria that colonize the oats. This microbial boom fuels worm breeding cycles, especially in the top few inches of soil. To use it correctly, sprinkle a thin layer of dry rolled oats over the soil surface, then cover it with ½ inch of compost or aged leaf mold. This prevents pests like birds or ants from reaching it and ensures the oats remain moist. The ratio that works best is 1 handful of oats per square foot, covered immediately. Too much oatmeal at once can go sour or attract pests, so keep it moderate but consistent. Repeat the application every 10 days for the first month. This keeps the microbial activity steady and ensures that worms never run out of soft, fermenting material. When coffee grounds and oatmeal are used together, they create a powerful system. Coffee grounds provide long-lasting moisture and microbial activity, while oatmeal gives you fast fermentation and rapid microbe growth. Combined, they create layers of food that break down at slightly different speeds. Worms get immediate food from the oats and long-term food from the coffee grounds. The blend also loosens the topsoil, making it easier for worms to lay cocoons and move around without drying out. When soil becomes both soft and consistently moist, worms really thrive. Over a period of 4 to 6 weeks, gardeners often notice dramatic changes. Crumbly soil, steady moisture retention, and worm castings scattered across the surface. The simplest method is to feed your garden in shallow layers. First, mix your used coffee grounds into compost or soil at a 2-to-1 ratio. Spread this over the soil surface wherever you want more worm activity. Then sprinkle rolled oats across the same area, and cover them lightly with compost. Water the area until everything is evenly moist. So, you'll want to repeat this process every 1 to 2 weeks during spring and fall, when worms are most active. Once your worm populations start to increase, you can, reduce feeding to just once a month. After several weeks, you'll notice worm tunnels becoming more visible. The soil texture, well, it improves noticeably as castings begin to accumulate. Plants usually respond pretty quickly to the boost in natural nutrients. Water also penetrates deeper and stays longer, so you end up reducing how often you need to irrigate. And an active worm population lowers the risk of compaction, which is especially helpful for raised beds and heavy clay soil. Over time, your garden really does become self-sustaining. Worms regulate nutrients, improve soil structure, and keep organic matter cycling continuously. If this guide helps you build stronger, richer soil with the help of earthworms, don't forget to subscribe and share it with other gardeners who want to grow healthier plants using simple, natural methods.